Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, here is that 999, or here is that 666 with the 999 motor mounted in it. So I've got everything sorted out of where everything is going to be. Nothing's mounted permanently yet. But I wanted to go over the modifications required to do this, which are many. First of all, I had to cut away this entire section of material and then file it down. As you see, I'm not finished yet. But file it down, and that's where the slide now goes, as you see. So exactly where that piece of metal was, where the old motor mounted, is what had to be cut away on both sides. So I cut it out and then filed it to make it fit, make it look nice, straight lines anyway. Then, once the motor is in this position, it's no longer able to mount on the rear plate. So I had to extend the rear plate with a piece of brass, and this was actually a brass rod, and I filed it flat and then cut it to slightly oversize in length and then tapped it into position, and I can just epoxy this in position, and the motor hooks directly onto it rather than on the bed plate itself. On this end, I haven't located the holes yet, but you can see how this is going to mount. I'm going to have to run, I've got a piece of coiled duct tape on both sides, just act as a wedge. So you can see that this hole is too low, and the hole above it is right about, because there's two holes in this one, the other hole is right about where the Marx logo is. So once I get that centered, I should be able to put a screw through there and mount the motor. Anyway, it's in here and running. So it's just a matter of a lot of fiddly stuff. You have to do a lot of little stuff to make this work. But the motor's in, it's running, it actually looks good. I can put a front and rear truck back on this, and I have a new 666 with a 999 motor in it. In all honesty, is it worth the effort? I don't know. It is interesting, but it doesn't run any better. It still has a double reduction motor in it. It looks cool, but I don't know. I guess it's up to the individual if you want to spend a lot of time tinkering. This is a great project, but it's a lot of fiddly work, and it's really time consuming because it's all done with files, hacksaw blades, scrapers. It's a lot of little fiddly stuff. It adds up. I've got, I don't know, probably 6 hours in this thing now. And it works. I'll take this around. As you see, it works really, really well. So there's no problem with it. It's just a matter, is it worth doing? But it runs well. No problem of any kind. It's just that this motor was not designed to be in this shell, period. But it fits with some judicious tinkering, of course. Anyway, I just want to do a video on how you go about mounting this in there. It's not a 10-minute job, that's for sure. But it runs really well. It looks okay. And it's definitely one of a kind, because I've never seen this done before. I've never seen this motor in a 666. And as you see, it looks like it was made this way. It fits really well. It looks nice. You would never know this was done with a couple of files and some brass and lots of time. But anyway, it's really straightforward and simple to do it if you want to spend the time doing it. That's the thing. So I will eventually get this epoxied into position. That brass extension, I still have to tap it. And that's a really, really tight fit in there. And it's just tapped into position. So I got to tap it over there, get it flush, and then epoxy it in position. And then I have to locate the holes for this, if this will focus. There we go. I've got to locate the holes for the front crossbar, and then figure out where I'm going to put the front truck. If I can use the stock truck, I can just put a couple screws in, and I have a front truck. If I have to modify it, I've got to probably drill an additional hole. The rear truck, of course, will just go on the stanchion as always. So it isn't necessarily difficult. It's just a lot of little stuff you have to do to make this motor fit this shell. But once it's in there, it fits, it runs, it looks good. And as I said, I don't think anybody would ever know that that didn't come from the factory that way. It fits really, really well. And it looks nice, and it runs well. So I just wanted to do a follow-up video on this. It's easy to make, reasonably. It's time-consuming because it's all done by hand. But it works, and whether you've gained anything or not, I have no idea. The 666 looks pretty good by itself. And the addition of this motor, actually, I don't know if anyone's ever really going to notice. But it's in there. It was an interesting experiment. So I just wanted to do a quick video on this. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.